Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Welcome back to Excel Snippet and Excel Snippet YouTube channel. As we are heading to our holiday season, I would like to open a new series of Excel in iSelf Academy channel. This is our first video. Again, we are about to improve our data set by converting it from a normal formula into a Power Query and a Power Pivot. Again, I am going to show you 4 different formulas. There are 3 formulas by default. We have it in Excel, and I'm going to create one built-in functional, 3 built-in functionality, 1 custom functions here, or I'll create a custom formula in our dataset. This is my first class in my training. Always I do train people in these topics. We call this as labeling formula. So when I have a dataset like this and I would like to convert them into a proper case, uppercase and lowercase, these are the 3 formulas by default we have it. So when I go back to my text formula, I'll say equals proper. And then if you are using Office 365, then just select the whole data and then give an enter. That's going to automatically populate the dataset by default here. And if I want to readjust this data as the data is filled in here with an automatic column auto fit, then I will just give a right click on my sheets and it will go back to my view code and then change the worksheet and then add a one simple line item called columns dot auto fit. By that way, when I fill in the data here, automatically my formula will work for me by default. So I'm going to go back and then convert the entire data set into an uppercase. I'll say equals upper and then select the whole data set and give an enter. That's going to automatically expand the data set, and the same is going to happen in my lowercase. My data is already there in a lower format, so let me just pick up the upper format and convert that into a lower format here. What we don't have in Excel is a sentence casing. This is a lot used in Word. If I use a Shift F3 in Word, I can convert the data set into a proper case or a sentence case, uppercase and lowercase. The proper case, this capitalize each word, will be a part of another dimension which will not come under Shift F3, and then we can go for toggle between the data set. So if the data set, or if your name is in caps here, so it can be converted into small. If your name is in small, it will convert into caps here. All these components can be seen very clearly in a Word functionality, but in a Excel function we may not be able to do that. Again, remember, when I want to create a sentence casing here, please make sure that all your base data remains as small. By that way you will get the right answer, or else you won't get the right answer. If I just pick up the proper data set here, if I use this current formula, it might not work for you properly. Probably it will give you a proper case as your end results here. It won't showcase the results as I wanted it to be shown in here. So I want to see the data set in such a way that my first letter of the data has to be caps and the rest of them has to be small. This is the agenda that I wish to add right now. So let me just show you how I'm gonna do that with 3 different custom formulas here. Now this is the formula that I've read today morning in a blog, so I'm going to just write that. And normally if I do this in a weird data set, let's see what happens. So if I pick up the previous cell data, it works beautifully, but if I pick up the data from upper, let's see what happens. If I pick the data from the proper data set, what happens here? Let's take the one which is not going to work for us properly. I'm going to start with a replace function here, and then the old text is going to be this. Then I'm going to give a comma. I want to replace the first text alone into capital, so I'm going to give 1. Starting number is 1. The number of letters that I want to convert or replace it is only 1. Then I'm going to give a comma. Then I will start with the functionality here called uppercase. So I'm going to change only the one of the letters as uppercase, and then I'll use the left functionality, and then I'll select the same cell again. Then I close the bracket for all the 3 formulas together here. When I give an enter, that's going to showcase the data set in the same pattern what I showed in my list here. So my formula might not work for me properly when I use that in a proper case here. Let me try to do that in an uppercase data set. Let's see what happens when I do that. So let me just bring those data set again. Okay, I'll say equals replace. This time around I'm going to take the uppercase, give a comma, and then I'll give a 1 here, first number, first character, then I give a comma, then I'm going to take the upper formula, and then I'm going to take the left formula, and then I'm going to select the same cell here and then close the bracket 3 times so that all the formulas are closed here, and it is not even showing me in this data set here. So if I use the same logic in the data set which is this, so I'm going to give a comma, 1 comma 1 comma 1, and then comma, then I'll just give an uppercase, and then I'll go back to my left function and select the whole data set here and then close them thrice and give an enter. That's gonna make sure that my data sets are coming perfectly here. You can see that there is sentence cases happening. Again, very carefully watch it. So when I try to use that in a proper data set or an uppercase data set, it didn't work because I'm picking up only the first data in my list to convert into an uppercase, not all of them. So if I want to write them in multiple dimensions, then I have to concatenate this to make it work in a proper or an uppercase. But the lowercase data will work for me exactly. Now I get a sentence casing in my name where the first letters will be all caps, but all the other letters are in small. We can achieve this data set in a much more better pattern if I wanted to. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go and convert this name into a table here. So I'm going to just say convert this into a table. I'll press Ctrl T and give an enter. So now I got the table list here. So if I want to rename them, I can rename them here. So I'm going to call this as text with Power Query Editor. So I'm going to call this as text PQW. So how do I add this? So now I'm going to add this to a Power Query Editor here. So how do I do that? So I'll go back to my data set and then I'll select table and range here. Automatically this will take the data to Power Query Editor by default to me, and all these dimensions will come in a single click of a button. How do you want this data to come into play? You want to replace the data with the existing data set, or you want to add a new column here? So if you want to add a new column here, so I'll just go back to add column in Power Query, and then from the text sub menu I'll just format the entire data into a lowercase here. So that's going to give you a lowercase in a new list and uppercase in the other list, and then capitalize each word. This is a proper text that comes into play here. We don't have a default functionality because I created a custom function there, so I may not able to get the list that I want to add here. So I'm going to just come back here and then I'll replace this data into a proper case by going to my transform tab, and then again I'll go back to the sub functionality called text column, format, and then convert this into capitalize each word. By that way the data set will be completely added in this list. If you want to put them in a same sheet, you can do that, or if you want to put them in a brand new sheet, you can just say close and load to, and then I'm going to just add a brand new sheet here, and then I'm going to add this as a table that's going to populate my data in this particular pattern. And I didn't write a formula here like I did here, but I created this using a Power Query Editor in a data set here. So you can achieve this very clearly. But again, the last function that I built using a custom formula is not available for us, and the formula that I wrote, the last functionality is this. So I'm going to just add the formulas here for us. This is the formula that I've recently learned in a blog, and I'm using it in a spelled effect data set. So that's why you get the hashtag after my numbers, or else you'll get a full range here. When I do it again, it won't work for you in a 2016 version, but again, if you're using Office 2019 and above, spell effect will be a very effective tool to add the data, or else you have to use a Ctrl D, Ctrl R, or Ctrl Enter to get your data set work for you properly. This is Vinod signing off from my Self Academy and Excel snippet on Excel versus Power Query Editor. Hope you guys are having a very good time in your holiday season. Enjoy your holiday and learn whatever you can during the period here. Thank you so much. Happy updating.